Alright. Picking up from the last video. So, we're going to go over some Batman issues. Last issue we talked about was issue 236. 236. Excuse me, 237. 236 is a ghost story. It's a murder mystery. Who killed this mysterious bride? That's kind of what this issue is. It's interesting. I do like it. Issue number 237. It's a Batman team up with Robin for this issue. Yes. Go to the Reaper. There's also like a Halloween parade here, which is also played on pages of Justice League and Avengers. By the way, the story has like three writers on. We have Denny O'Neil, Bernie Ricey, and Harlan Ellison, with artwork by Neil Adams. And skipping over 238 because that's a reprint issue. 239. It's a Christmas story about basically a guy who was a thief who got laid off from his job from a toy company 3 months prior to Christmas. And he said, oh yeah, we'll bring you back. And then he sold the company. And then it turns to the guy later, when he confronts him, basically his job back, he basically has a heart attack. Though he has some time to spend time with his daughter before after Christmas. It's a good Christmas issue, and I really enjoyed it. Gotta thank Denny O'Neil and Arvin Nurk for the art for the story here. Now, the air stories in here: Lowest Man in the World, reprinted Batman 15. Soul Pit is a Robin story, which I believe is collected in one of the Showcase Presents Robin book. Showcase Presents Robin Boy Wonder. Issue number 240. Another return of Ra's al Ghul. And Talia. The whole thing with this one is like, oh, we have this guy called Dr. Moon who appears in this issue. Yeah, he's not that big of a character per se. Yeah, so this basically is his debut appearance. So what this guy did is he took a scientist who was very smart. So Ra's wanted to preserve the guy's consciousness. Brain because he loved his knowledge, so he decided just to put him in a jar like he's Brain from Doom Patrol. Yep, that's mostly exactly what goes on here. At the end of the story, the scientist dies. You might be thinking, does Doctor return after the story? Yes, but not big appearance per se. No. In the Batman series, this was his solo appearance. Called Mason Sterling, the guy's name is. Yes. And their stories. Theater of the Mind, this is basically a Robin story, and then we have a reprint of an old Batman story. Yep. 241. Which I believe this is also supposed to use as a cover for one of the Showcase books. I've seen this cover before. It's a really good cover. It's done by Neil Adams, Bernie Ricey, Gaspar so Danny O'Neil does the writing here. Erwin Nervick does the artwork. A Dawn Dies, Mary MacGuffin. I'm sure the Guffin thing is basically a nod of like the hit item. And the other story is Colonel Scepter, who is a criminal, part of the Army of Crime. Yeah, that's just a interesting one per se. 242 and 243, I'm going to skip this one. 242, 243 and 240, I'm going to skip this one because I think one is... this one here is the first time we use the identity of Matches Malone. That's mostly what this issue is known for. The debut of Matches Malone. An alias of Batman's that has occasionally popped over the years. And it was also the sole appearance of the real Matches Malone, who died in this issue. And he did kind of return after this. Like, there was another version of Matches Malone that popped up in, like, Batman 588. Yes, for some reason, I'm not sure why, Brian K. Vaughan brought this guy back for a few issues in present day, and then have him die once again. We also first appearance of Dr. Harris Blaine. Yeah. where this guy sadly died in Batman: Son of the Demon. Yes, yeah, and League of Assassins are involved in this story, but yeah, that's the most important thing about this issue. But skipping straight to skipping straight to 244. Yeah, I think 244. I already discussed one already. Yeah, I have. So, but last but not least, we're doing issue 245. What is 245, might ask? Well, 246 was basically just an appearance by Roz. It's a classic Roz story. It's a famous story where Batman and Roz fight with swords in the desert and shirtless. Yeah, and a very infamous issue that was adapted twice. One's an episode of Batman animated series, the other for an episode of Arrow. Except it is Snow and it's basically Oliver Queen instead of with Bruce Wayne. In the case 245, basically Bruce Wayne is presumed dead, and they kind of have to solve the little mystery, but it's a fun story. Good political drama there. Love the cover here by Neil Adams. On the logo here, a little DC circle thing. That's kind of basically we kind of have to, except it had little comics in it, but it's basically a similar logo. But all in all, really good issues. I'm gonna give Circumstance Batman Volume 6 a 9 out of 10. I think that the Batman issues are more historical note than the Titan Comics ones. Titan Comics will be like 1 or 2 at most. But that's that. Next up we have is Batman Collected Legends of the Dark Knight, which collected issues of Legends of the Dark Knight issues 32, 34, 38, and 42, 43. Now discussing 42, 43, purely because basically I had discussed the issues already in Batman Arkham Poison Ivy. Basically, first start with basically a 3-parter for 32, 34, known as Blades. It is written by James Robinson and sadly late Tim Sale. I do have one of the issue covers here. I do have one of the issues here. I don't have the trade here per se, but I do have one of the issues. Let's see if I can find it here. I know I have my stack here. Let's see. Let's see, where are you? Because I think this is a really good storyline. Here it is. Right here. Batman Legends of Dark Knight. That's actually the conclusion. Mostly put for the storyline here. This is the first post-Christ appearance of the Cavalier. This is one version of him per se. Yes. Now, as for why in the world they decided to include it here, like, why was he brought back? Well, not sure why though, but I've seen Cavalier pop up in their books, but this is probably a different version of him per se. It's Hudson Pyle. He only appears for his 3-parter, and he's brought back as a zombie. Yeah, he's one guy of him. He is not the original one. He's the successor. So the original one has popped up occasionally over the years. At one point, he was the bodyguard for Leslie Tompkins. Hudson Pyle was basically like a brief successor of him. Yeah, this whole thing is like he's a vigilante who kills people, who actually kill people, who's more eccentric than Batman. And how we describe this guy is that he was kind of written to be, I would kind of say, DC's take on the swordsman from Marvel Comics. Because the vigilante who fights crime with a sword. Except he used a rapier, not a big, huge English blade like the Frenchman from Marvel Comics did. He's also got a lover here per se, and after he loses his battle to Batman, he proceeds to say, okay, we have 2 champions today, we can't allow you to die. So he proceeds to drop his sword, take out 2 guns, and have himself be gunned down by police. That's pretty much a three-parter in a nutshell. It's a really good three-parter, and I really wanted my hands on the trade for a long time, but I can never get my hands on it, sadly. Excuse me. But 35, 36, I'll discuss this in our trade for that one. That is collected, so don't worry about that. Skipping straight to 37. This is this issue called Mercy, written by Dan Abbott and Andy Lanning. Love the cover here by Colin McNeil, who's also the artist. The story is called Mercy. Yes, it is mostly a woman named Mercy, and of course a guy, Cossack. The whole thing about this issue is that the ending is ambiguous. It's implied that the character Mercy died, but that's kind of what the issue is. It's a very standalone issue. It's actually probably the first standalone issue since issue. It's only the second ever standalone issue of this entire series, because it's always been multi-parters. The last time we had a standalone issue, you could think, well, what about 27? Wasn't that standalone? No, that was actually part one of a three-parter. That was a crossover. But this is technically the second ever standalone issue of the whole series. But, and then we have issue number 38, which I do have that right here. Yes, which is collected here. This issue was written by Alan Grant and Kevin O'Neill, who was the artist behind League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. The whole big thing about this book is it's the first post-crisis appearance of Bat-Mite. That's the big thing related to this issue. It's a joke issue per se, but you think if all people are bringing back Bat-Mite, Alan Grant did it? Seems a bit weird, but it's an okay issue. And here's a little fun fact about this issue. Did you know DC's collected this issue twice? Yes, believe it or not, they've collected it freaking twice. They collected in World's Funniest, and also in this Batman Legends Collected of the Dark Knight. Mm-hmm. But I've already discussed 42 and 43. So, next up we have is issue 41, which is I would say it's the third standalone issue. Actually, the fourth. Yeah, fourth one. This issue in particular is a take on Sunset Boulevard. It is just Batman taking on some flying creatures, per se. Yeah, this issue was kind of released in 1992-ish, but covered it was 1983. Written by Tom Joyner and Jim Fern. It's not that noteworthy of an issue, per se. But we do have the annuals. Yes, we do have two annuals to discuss here. Yep, we're discussing the very first two ever annuals released of the series. First up is a Armageddon 2001 tie-in. And here are your artists. Now, it's written by Danny O'Neill. He also does second annuals as well. The artwork is done by Jim Aparo, who does pages 1 through 6, and 52, 54. 15 is done by Keith Giffen. Rest in peace, man. Joe Quesada. This is probably like the only comic I think he worked on for DC. We're going to issue pages 16 to 24. Tom Lyle. Rest in peace, you too. He passed away just a couple years ago. He did pages 25, 33. Dan Spriggle. I think he's passed away. He did pages 34, 42, and 43, 51 done by James Berman. If you're curious, I think Tom Lyle passed away in 2022, if I'm mistaken. No, it's 2019. Great artist. Love this guy's artwork. Keith Giffen, I believe, passed away just last. It was actually just last year he passed away. Joe Quesada, because he's still around. Okay, so he worked on also a book called Spelljammer. So this is not the first comic he worked on in DC. He did work on a lot for DC. He worked on Sword of Azure, which probably was nowhere the book he worked on. This annual, 2-issue question quarterly. He worked as Ash, Danger Girl Special, the Ray first volume, and a series called Crucible. That's mostly put it. This is mostly put basically Wayrider. Well, it's mostly put about the Joker in this one and a bunch of zombies. It's a very strange tie number again, 2001, but The cover itself said it was listed in 2001. Oh, it just annual. I thought it was 2001. My mistake. You could say this whole thing is just deal with the Joker and Batman take on demons. But I love the interior artwork here, and I think that the artist did a great job basically with this. The second annual. It's mostly put a modern day sequel to Year One. The biggest thing related to this annual, which is also my delayed annual. The cover is done by, and he's also the interior artist here, Michael Nazir. By the way, the ink of this book is Luke McDonald, the artist behind Suicide Squad. Biggest thing with this book is the return of Arnold Flass. Yes, Arnold Flass. Jim Gordon's partner from Batman Year One. I got fired. Mostly put, this was actually... You could say, in a way, this was actually the first time he appeared since Year One. And then later on, he died in Dark Victory. So the biggest thing with this issue here, so I've returned Arnold Flass for the first time since Year One. This issue is also the issue where Jim Gordon and Sarah Essen get married. Because at one point, basically, they held hostage and the boat was sinking. They have a person who's a judge. And he asks him, like, you still a judge? Yes. Can you marry myself and Sarah? Sure. And he forms a ceremony. Right there. He says, oh yeah, but I happen to have legal papers right here. So, yeah, it's legal. And, well, Jim Gordon got married. Yep. That's the biggest thing related to this issue. Jim Gordon gets married in a Legend Dark Knight annual. This is kind of set in modern day-ish. Though, for some reason, Arnold Flass stars up in Dark Victory. So, because basically Jim Gordon is back with Sarah. This is basically when Commissioner Gordon reunited with Sarah Essie, he was already commissioner at that point. Yes, Hardboiled issue 2, but I love this issue. It's really good. Surprisingly, there's also a cameo here by Jim Gordon's ex-wife, which also in the story we've also featured briefly Jim Gordon Jr. make a cameo, who got kidnapped in the story. It's a very brief appearance. You can barely see his face. This kind of was another appearance by the character. You could kind of say it's probably the first appearance of the character since Year One. Because all this annual was basically a lot of follow-up to Year One. Yeah, but that's kind of what the issue was. But the annual itself is amazing. And I'm going to give the annual a 10 out of 10. Oh, in the case of Barbara Aileen Gordon, excuse me. After Year One, she appeared very, very little after this. Yeah, mostly put, basically, she calls up Jim to inform the fact her son's been kidnapped. But I love this annual. It's amazing. First annual was okay. Nothing against. I like the writing here. The artwork is actually the best thing about the first annual is the amazing artwork. Sadly, put about 3 of the artists working this book has passed away. Well, I know Jim Perro passed away. Keith Giffen, Tom Lau. Dick Springer passed away. He did. So I'm not sure about James Blackburn. He was the other artist in this book. Let's see if I can find him here. As far as I can tell for him, he looks like he's still very much alive. There's nothing that says that he's dead. So he's still around. So the only ones since passed away: Jim Harrell, Keith Giffen, and Tom Lyle, sadly, and Dick Springle. So basically 4 artists. And the cover is by Mike Managlia. Yep. But yeah, that's pretty much that particular view. Yeah, it's a pretty good time to stop here. I'm just going to go ahead and do My Hero Academia, and then I'm just going to go ahead and do a new One Piece episode, okay? Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications, and do not hit the dislike button, okay? Thanks for you. Bye.